people are trickling in. We're really fortunate to have some great panelists to talk about entrepreneurial passion. They're going to talk about how they got it so that you can learn from that. David is our moderator, and he's actually the one who's going to be running this tonight, but I'm just going to introduce everyone. We're super lucky. Lori is a partner at Chadbourne and Parke. You get 5 seconds. About Chadbourne and Parke.
Only?
Start for now.
Talk about myself
You just used it.
Yeah.
You used
I know.
Okay, you can get 30 seconds.
That's all right, that's right. I head up the emerging company venture capital practice at Chadbourne, which means I get to work with entrepreneurs. So in terms of the evolutionary chain of attorneys, I'm pretty high up the evolutionary chain.
And she loves working with aspiring entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
She's heard it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is Josh. We're so lucky. He's the creator of Lazer Tag, which you did not bring. But but at some point, David, Josh and you and Lynn have PowerPoints.
Oh, yes.
Just figure out how you want to do it.
We will entertain at great length.
And Graham Lawler's here, who's our media partner. You want to just say a few seconds about what Ultralight Startups does in your next event?
Sure. I'll stand up. My name is Graham Lawler. I'm the founder of an organization called Ultralight Startups, and we host pitch events where startups pitch to investors. So we've been around for about 5 years here in New York, and we were also in Boston, Silicon Valley, and a few other cities. Our next event is on Thursday, this Thursday, just a few days from today. We'll see 8 energy and clean tech startups pitching to a panel of top VCs and corporations in New York. So if you're interested, go to ultralightstartups.com.
Cool. Also, we have a media partner is New York Video, and they've moved there. If you love video, they're the biggest video organization in New York, and now they're holding. They used to be at AOL, but now they moved to Columbia. But there's plenty of parking around there, and there's also easy access by subway too. And this is David Polchek. He's our new partner. This is his space. It's called AT&T Adworks Lab, and it's totally cool. And he's just going to say a few words about it. And this is all this stuff.
This is me. If anybody, first of all, thank you all for coming. Quick housekeeping things. Men's room is over there. Ladies' room is over there outside the door. I'm going to shut the door in a minute, and none of you will be able to leave.
It's like the elevators.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, you're going to complain about
Yeah, all right,
security.
all right.
There is right next to the firebox outside in the hallway. There's a little button that says "Open Door." So if you go outside and the door is closed, just push that button, and we'll let you back in. And for anybody who might be interested after the event, I'll give you some tours. We do a lot of data visualization here. The idea was, how do we create the AdWorks, AT&T AdWorks story, which is media across television, online, and mobile? How do we bring it to life in a physical experience? My background is theater and creating physical experiences. So they brought me in to create the space here, which we've done. It's about 1.5 years, almost 2 years old now. And later this summer, we're going to take the whole show down and rebuild the whole show again. Create a new show every year. So I'm happy to give you the tour and talk to you about some of the data visualization. One thing I'll show you, if I can get this working back here. I keep forgetting it's 7 o'clock and the system is designed to shut down at 7. On the back hallway out there is a very cool visualization that we call a map of connected television shows. We're a cable company in 22 states. We provide a service called Uverse. So there it is out on the back wall. That is a map of connected television shows. You can pick a television show and you will see, based directly from set-top box data,
It's really cool.
what are the other shows that people watch if they watch the show you picked. And it's not, sample-based or anything like that. So some cool visualizations. Really looking at how do you bring a story to life of things that are not done. So thank you for all coming, and I hope you enjoy the night.
There's seats up front. There's papers on them, but that's just for you guys. So if anyone wants to come sit up front here, that'd be great. Fill the spot.
Don't all jump. Everyone all jumps into that.
And I also want to introduce you to Myra. She's our disruptive coach, business coach, and she's going to be giving away 2 disruptive business meetings. And just say a few words about what those coaching is.
Yeah, hi everyone, my name's Myra. I run Tiger Cub Coaching.
most of you got a sheet of paper that explains a little bit more about it. And it's pretty much as any other coaching goes as your fitness coach. But we do work with entrepreneurs one-on-one and help them work through their problems, whether they're just starting off, going through the idea phase, or looking to hone their pitch. If you have any questions in terms of what that means, feel free to reach out to me right after, and we'll be offering 2 coaching sessions, 60 minutes each. If it's not for you, go ahead and feel free to forward it to one of your friends, and I'll be happy to acknowledge that. And I'll be passing around a little bucket so you can write down your name. And
Either put a business card or your
Yeah.
name, because I'm giving away a couple of mugs that say Disruptive Technologists and a few pens and.
So is this a contest, like one of those like raffles or
Yep,
something like
this
that?
is a
No.
raffle.
Oh yeah. No. You just throw your name in there, and then we pull them out. There's probably enough stuff for like 15 people.
So I'll pass this around and it'll make its way through.
Now who am I missing? Anyway, who didn't talk yet? You didn't talk about laser tag, did you?
Well, I don't think any of us.
Oh,
No,
just
just
me.
me.
Okay,
Just
just
me.
quickly, and then David will drag you into more
Okay.
in depth.
All right,
Just-
cool. Hey guys, I'm Josh Shabtai. I'm co-founder of a mobile gaming studio called Liminal. And we focus on augmented reality, immersive, and connected toy experiences. So, as Lauren mentioned, one of our recent projects was laser tag. We invented, remember the old laser tag guns? We partnered with Hasbro, invented a system where you could pop your iPhone into it and make a real life video game for up to 24 people, so kids run around and get to shoot each other, I guess, in real life. But we worked with a number of brands. I'm working on something for the Lone Ranger right now. I don't know, worked on a Star Wars augmented reality game. We've done a bunch of other things. By day, which might be good for this discussion, by day until about July 2nd, which I can't wait for, I'm a creative director at the ad agency J. Walter Thompson. So for the last 3 years, I've been balancing running this game studio, not raising any outside venture capital for it, and paying the bills, and that's going to change pretty soon. So it's tiring.
And then Lynn, a few words, and then we'll get into your thing more.
Okay, well, I have a company called AmeriKids USA, and we've been in the multimedia business for decades now, and we're doing a game now called Green Kids Media, where worldwide game where you find and save endangered animals worldwide. And I teach game design and media at NYIT, and we're about to launch a game center there.
Nice.
And then David, with my homepage, he's going to explain what it is, but he's also like a fabulous moderator. He moderates for ultralight startups, and that's actually where I met him. Sorry for stealing him. But he's great. He's our new disruptive moderator, and he's taking my place because he's more fun than I am. So just a little.
Wow, you set the bar very high.
Really?
I'm also an entrepreneur, but I do love talking about startups, and I love meeting people and being engaged with the community of people who are as sick, disgusting, disturbed as I am, who are interested in not actually having real jobs and like getting paychecks and things like that. It is definitely a genetic flaw. I feel bad for all of you for being here, but it is something that keeps me excited and enthused about doing what I do every day, and so I'm glad to be here and to share it. Why don't we start? Let me show a little video on my homepage just to get myself out of the way.
I forgot. I want to announce funding post. Joe should be here at some point. He's probably stuck downstairs. He has a big, huge angel investor thing that he does, and he's one of our sponsors, and he provides the pizza and the soda. And we just are so lucky to have beer because David allowed us to. Normally we hold our things at NYIT, which is the New York Institute of Technology, and they don't allow alcohol. So when we do our events here, it's great because we can have beer. And David actually got some really good beer too. And so when Joe comes, I'll let him say a few words, but has anyone ever been to one of his huge investor entrepreneur things? There are like hundreds of people, and what do you think of them?
This is very effective.
Yeah. You line up, but there's tons of investors, and you line up around the room, and they and you get to talk to them for a few minutes. It's pretty cool.
What's the name of the event?
It's called Funding Post.
Funding Post.
Yeah, and they have
Okay.
another one coming up. You get to meet a lot of investors. It's a way for entrepreneurs to meet investors, and the food's really, really good. Okay, so I'm gonna have David go ahead, and you guys just talk and ask questions, and whatever you want to do.
All right, so let's start with the video. This will show you what $1 million builds. Hi, I'm David Carlos, Chief Technology Officer here at my homepage. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about our services. I'm here to welcome you to the future because the next generation of online communication is here, and it's powered by my homepage. With our service, you'll revolutionize the manner in which you connect and communicate with your residents. Harness the power of social media and give residents access to exclusive deals, accept payments online, send emergency alerts, share what's happening in your neighborhood. So we build websites for buildings, just to put it in context. Staying connected, networking, accessing deals, and making payments. Advanced technology all at your fingertips. Modernize your building and create new amenities. It's effortless and it's free. You see, like you, we're also New Yorkers, and we believe that life is bigger than your living space. My homepage. Live bigger. Features, and more features. Let us show you what you'll be getting. On the homepage is where you'll find local content, your Facebook page, and information regarding your building. Our community page connects residents with their neighbors in a private social network. On our maintenance request page, residents can get help with the click of a mouse. Online access to documents like building rules or leases means paper is a thing of the past. The building calendar is where you can share what's happening in the building and neighborhood. We're fully mobile and iPad optimized. This means your residents can stay connected from wherever they are, right from their smartphone or tablet. They can pay rent or dues, check the calendar, even put in a maintenance request, all remotely. The benefits of signing up for my homepage's services are vast. Our system will take your building into the 21st century, making management more efficient. You will be adding an amenity for your residents that costs you neither physical space nor capital outlay. And with our revenue sharing program, you'll actually make money. We've created a robust experience that all of our current residents embrace. And we invite and encourage feedback to ensure that we're always keeping our sites fresh and vibrant. We like to say that my homepage has everything a resident needs to run their household, all from one place. From tools to help you manage online communication, to compelling content that will delight your residents. My homepage has it all. We do all the work, we require no long-term commitment, and we provide it all for free. The future of online communication has arrived, and it's powered by my homepage. So,
Who did your video?
I did. Hi, I'm David Carlos, Chief Technology Officer here at my homepage. Yes, I have a secret for producing videos of this nature very inexpensively. It cost me, in terms of actual materials, about $40 to produce that. In terms of my time, obviously extra, but I'll let everybody in on the secret. There is a site called Video Hive, and they're kind of like a stock video service, except what they do is they produce, and this is funny that we're talking about the video more so than the business, but this is important, and this is actually hugely valuable for you guys, so I'm happy to share. They produce Adobe After Effects templates. So these were two separate, actually three, because even the logo itself was a template. 3 separate templates that we purchased. They cost about $20 each. And all of the high-end 3D graphics and the production and the soundtrack and everything is pre-done for you. All you have to do is make some changes in After Effects, type in the name of your company, change the headings on each of the things. I did the voiceover work on it, right? So obviously that was not part of it. But yeah, with very little budget, you need to know After Effects.
You have to buy After Effects.
You have to have After Effects, but if you get an Adobe Creative Suite,
Yeah, and what's the name of the company?
it's Video Hive, VIDEO-HIVE. So this is an awesome way to make it look like you spent a tremendous amount of money, and it's...
Video Hive actually also makes lots of different like themed templates too, so it's really good for like...
It's part of a family of sites, right? So
my
there's
video
Theme Forest, and
won't
there's...
look like yours.
It will if you choose the same template,
Oh, okay.
but they've got thousands of them. So it's really cool. But just in speaking to the business for 1 second, the thing that there are two kind of key things that occurred in making this company that was sort of instrumental from the entrepreneurial side, right? One was identifying that there's a need in a marketplace, right? A lot of pitches you'll hear come from people who are trying to solve a problem that doesn't really exist, or that exists for such a unique population that it's very hard to get any economy of scale, right? If you're going to try and monetize and build a business that is investable in, right, you have to be able to solve a big enough problem that there are enough people, that you'll generate enough money, that there will be a big enough return that investors would be interested in the first place in even, talking to you. So the first thing, the key here was identifying that the residential real estate industry is all bass backwards, right? It's like cavemen, literally, modern day cavemen, hunched over stone tablets, chipping away, creating things like an alert about service that's going to happen in your building, and they handwrite it on a piece of paper and then photocopy it, and then take the photocopies to the building, hand it to the super, who then walks door to door and slides it under the door of every resident, right? That's not the way modern people live. Well, it is, but they all live in Uganda, right? So it's important to make sure that you've got some big problem that you can really solve. And we believe this is going to revolutionize the entire residential real estate industry. The second thing was trying to do something in a way that is disruptive, right? That's the whole reason for Disruptive Technologists. The way that we're disruptive is by being free. We don't charge anybody anything for this. It's free. How do you do that? How do you make something free and still make money? You have a question?
No, I'm just going to kind of move this is good. I'm going to move it along to hear about some of these guys' stories about how they found their passion and how they kept it, because I know a lot of people just want to give up, and I know there's a lot of times I've wanted to give up on stuff and I haven't, but it was hard. I never regained my passion for a lot of stuff. And I thought that maybe Lori would be a good person to start, because she talks to a lot of people who have these ideas, and she tells them yay or nay. So why don't you just start chatting?
Okay. First of all, that's great. Looks like a great idea.
Thank you.
So in my business, I'm lucky enough to work with entrepreneurs. I actually am an entrepreneur myself. I'm a co-founder of a mobile advertising company here in New York, late stage, and a couple of other companies in the media space. So what I love about working with entrepreneurs is that the really good ones are really passionate about what they're doing. Whether it's something, a really crazy idea that I wouldn't think would be the next best thing, they're still very passionate about it. They're also fearless, right? You probably, the three of you, very passionate about what you're doing, not afraid to take a chance, and excited about building what you have. So when I was a much younger attorney, my mentor told me, you cannot sell that which you don't believe in. And at that point, I was learning how to sell my services, my business. I was trying to be a rainmaker and bring in business, and that's what that piece of information is so true. And it's so true for entrepreneurs as well, because if you don't believe what you're doing, if you question it for a moment, your audience is going to question it 10 times as much as you are, and you'll never get past that first look. So the goal always of an entrepreneur, are you self-funded or are you? We
started with friends and family money,
Good.
Right? Which is always the hardest and easiest kind of money to get. It's like
You have to be able to sleep at night.
your mother will do almost anything for
Right,
you,
right.
But yeah, you got to be careful with that. And then we did angel
Angel money.
funding to get to where we're at now.
And Lynn, what about you with your company?
Well, I did a whole presentation, but on this very subject. But I started out as trying to do services for various companies, and then founded my own company. And every time I did it, we invested my own money, and then started with my own money, and either a corporation picked it up, or I got a grant, or I found a place to hang my hat, and now I'm at a university and they're funding my projects. And so it's always finding a place that wants your product. So McGraw-Hill picked up my product, and they needed a product right away, and so that's a long time between engagements, as they say, in the show business.
It's true. I mean, we started off funded by sort of a beta work style incubator called Muse, and then since then it's either been just revenue from our products or advances against future royalties with different partners.
So creative, being creative in how you raise the money.
Yeah.
I find most of my entrepreneurs that I work with want to go out to the venture community, maybe it's the angel community to start with, and then you go to that next step and you try to find venture folks that will invest in your business. Venture folks, you know, I don't know whether you've had, I guess with Bemuse you probably had a little bit of experience with them.
They're a little different because they also help provide resources and they're invested in what you do.
Which means they have a longer attention span.
Yes.
The venture folks that are out there, the attention span of a flea. And if you don't catch them, you know, you told me 5 seconds I had to talk about what I did. Caught me a little off guard. I'm still soggy from the weather. My feet are wet. You know, my hair's horrible. But truly, one sentence. If you can get their attention in one sentence and convey in that one sentence your passion and your belief for your business, that's how you get them to listen. If you don't, forget it. Their mind is off somewhere else.
But can we talk about a stage between friends and family and venture, and that's something
Sure.
that I think of in terms of incubators and accelerators. So I think probably at this point you all are beyond the incubator stage because you have a product and a fully formed idea. You know, what about like the idea of accelerators to enable one to maybe have a change in go-to-market strategy before there's anything tangible for evaluation discussion with a
Right.
VC?
So you know, are you familiar at all with how accelerators work or incubators work? How much equity they take from you? Do you know
like
anything?
7 to 10%.
Yeah, so 6 to 10%, let's say. And I know, is that what you?
Yeah.
So the big ones that you hear about, you read about in the press, 6 to 10%. Sometimes I'll put in more via a note, also at very incubator, accelerator favorable terms. Some of them are very good, and some of them don't quite deliver on everything that they promise. So the reason accelerators or incubators are interesting is it's, you know, you're in a room together with entrepreneurs who are equally passionate and excited and fearless about what they're doing, and there's such energy in that.
Yeah, I mean, ours, it really helped me from the perspective of what they provided wasn't just financial support, but actually was some human resource support on both the advisory capacity, right, but also on the development. Also helped find initial art resources. So our first game was, you know, I was saying the Star Wars augmented reality game, and they helped us prototype that to the point that I could go out and pitch the publisher and say, this is what we've got, let's do a revenue share, we'll fund it ourselves. So in certain models, they can be much more, they actually helped me build a company.
I'd rather pay commission than equity because I have a finished product. So I'd rather.
So you have to have the right mentality for the incubator accelerator model. It is like a dorm room like.
You know, there is
almost.
another venue, which is grants.
Yeah.
And there's a web database of grants called, well, you could do a search, Google search database of grants. And the Challenge Post is one that's been very active, and they are always putting up challenges for inventors or apps to come up with some sort of challenge, and that gives you space to get your work seen and maybe find partners. So that's another way to go if you won't want to give away equity.
Well, I have several clients right now in accelerators. 5 different accelerators, a couple on the East Coast, a couple on the West Coast. I have one, and one is one of the big accelerators here on the East Coast. They are having a phenomenal experience. And they had a product. They had angel money in. They finished building out the product. The founder is a techie. He built it out himself, proven entrepreneur. And I was surprised when they decided to go with the accelerator.
Why?
Because he is a proven entrepreneur and he found money. And so I thought that he was past accelerator stage. But he's having a really good time with it, and the company is growing the way it should be in an accelerator. So I'm actually impressed with what's going on.
No, and accelerators aren't the only other alternative to VC. We're
Yeah.
angel funded, right? So angels, they come in two flavors that I've seen. One is professional angel, which is somebody who, like New York Angels, for example, Doug Cohen. Or, they are specifically out there to do angel funding of startup companies. Then there are the amateur angels, right? They are high net worth individuals. They probably have some sort of investing background, whether they work at a hedge fund or they do some other type of risky business. And so they like risk, they understand risk, and for their pet projects, they want to invest in things that they don't necessarily understand, but are a lot of fun, and there is a potentially large upside, but where they're willing to lose every bit of money that they invest because they can afford to do so. That actually happens to be the way that we went, was with the amateur angel investor. And it aligned for us very well, right? And we got very favorable terms. And
Did you do equity or debt?
It's primarily equity.
Yeah.
Through a convertible note.
That's what.
Right?
So this is venture is the flavor of the month. Everything about venture is a flavor of the month type thing. And convertible notes, which have been in vogue for the last year and a half, 2 years, is the ideal way to raise angel money.
Yeah.
Ideal. For those of you who don't, I mean, it's a note that you bring in, usually 4 to 6% interest rate. It converts at the next round on the terms and conditions of the next round, with either a discount, a cap on the pre-money value, or both.
Yeah.
So you're borrowing money, essentially.
You're borrowing money with the idea that you're not necessarily paying it back.
Right.
You shoot the term out long enough so that you know you're going to do a fundraise before you have to pay it back, and it converts at the next fundraise. It is an ideal way to bring in angel
It's
money.
pretty clever because between the discount and the valuation cap, it allows you to protect yourself from dilution. It allows your initial investors to get return on their equity and return on their investment in terms of equity, but be protected from massive dilution in the event of a really big valuation at some point. And it doesn't require valuing the company up front, which is almost impossible to do with a startup
Which is
company.
the beauty of it, because when you haven't really built out your business, the company is not worth anything.
Yep.
So if you need to raise a small amount, like $500,000 or $750,000 or $1 million, you don't want to sell your whole company. And if you can do it in the form of a note, that is the ideal way to raise that early money. You had a question?
Yes, I'm trying to raise about $100 million for a Canadian company, a VoIP company. It's been in business for 10 years. It's public, and my thought is to go with convertible debentures, selling shares at stock at a reduced rate. And when the stock hits at a certain point, they convert for a specific amount of money. Is this typical?
Are they public in Canada or the U.S.?
The public in the U.S.
That's creative. You can do something like that. What about pipes?
I'm going to hedge
You're
funds.
You're looking at hedge funds. So that could be interesting. Somebody raising his hand back there, ready to write you a check. You ready to write him a check?
You got change for $1 billion?
Yeah, will you take cash?
Some of us are just looking for our first customer.
Yeah.
Well,
You had
in
a-
light
go
of
ahead.
that, I mean, how do you maintain that passion when you're looking for that first customer? Because I've gone through that
Yeah.
a couple of times. And you've got to maintain the zeal and the spark.
You have to do that.
How?
So there's a reason you're starting what you're doing, right? There's a reason that you're building your business. And the one thing you can count on in doing it is you're going to have the bumps in the road, no matter what. So I mentioned earlier I'm a co-founder of a mobile advertising company here in New York. We started at exactly the right time several years ago. It's booming. It's doing really well. It's still doing really well. But there is so much that comes into play, and I watch it from the cheap seats because I'm outside counsel. I go to the board. But it's very hard to keep that passion and that morale going, and you constantly have to remind yourself that you believe in the business. But I think you're doing this for a reason. I have clients who come to me and say it's been their lifelong dream to build a business like this. They're ready to leave their job, they want to build a company, and they're nervous about doing it. And I always ask them, well, what would happen if you didn't do it? Would you regret it? Would you look back and say you really should have done it? And if the answer is yes, you got to find the passion from within to build the company, knowing full well it's not going to be easy. And looking for your first customer, looking for funds, I mean, that's a really tough thing to do.
How did you guys get through?
I mean, I always felt, frankly, I started from the place of, this is a weird way to say it, but I feel like, and I'm probably not speaking for some people maybe in the room, like, I've always felt that if I've met someone who tells me their ambition is to start a company, just randomly to start a business, I feel like that person's fucking nuts. Like, why would you, like, what kind of weird end goal is that, right? You're starting a legal entity or something. Like, is that your dream? Is that your dream? For me, I didn't want to start a company. I didn't really care about a bigger vision. I had the opportunity to make a Star Wars game, and literally for 30 years, when I was a kid, I was 4 years old, and there was a Star Wars arcade game, and my mom would hold me up to it to play this Star Wars arcade game. And there was a day, I'm not even making this up, there was a day, and I was really good at it for a 4-year-old, which is really freaky. And she needed to get me to the other side of the mall so we could get in the car and go home. And I kept playing. She's like, oh, I hear there's a Millennium Falcon game, because she knew all the vernacular, because I would always talk about it, at the other end of the mall. So I was like, oh, okay, and just quit. There was no Millennium Falcon game. There never would be a Millennium Falcon game. And it was something that, like, as a kid, I would draw. I would draw in notebooks, you know what I mean? I was a weird kid, and the opportunity came when I was really frustrated with a job. I just felt like my creative spark had kind of gone out. Met these folks at Bemused, found out I saw something they were working on, and I'm like, you know what, we could actually make the Millennium Falcon game I've dreamed about. We can make it augmented reality, and I don't give a shit. I'm going to figure out how to get the rights from Lucasfilm to make it happen. And I didn't care about it as a company as anything else beyond this single game. And that's what kept me going. And through that process, we ended up making tools that could be used to create games, digital games that intersect with real life, which is where mobile and post-mobile devices are going. So, in a way, staying focused on the thing that just made me kind of nuts led to the company. And it's like, you just keep that piece in the back of your mind, and the thing that you have to keep in the forefront is the thing that really you're just a nerd about. That's my personal.
You're having fun?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not always having fun, but
That's part of it.
Yeah, like my wife is ready to kill me.
That's another part of it.
Right. That's
but she's
completely different passion. And we're not.
But I think I would say the key to being happy as you can be when things get horrible. So, for example, I have to get this Lone Ranger thing out in the next 2.5 weeks, and I'm going to just tell you guys, my secret friends here, like, I have no idea how we're going to do it. We got to do it because the film's coming out. But the thing that gets me excited is I know we're actually doing something that's never been done in terms of making a comic book that you can dive into. So you just find with every project you do, if there's not one little piece that you can, actually I would recommend in every project find like 3 to 5 little pieces, because eventually 4 of those 5 are going to be just albatrosses. So you'll have one you can focus on when you're awake for the last 3 nights. Like,
and you're nimble.
Like,
you're nimble. And
I don't feel so nimble, but yes,
nimble, relatively.
Yeah.
I think usually there's some compelling subconscious reason that people find that they need to do the business. And that is what keeps you going, is this subconscious, compelling reason. And oftentimes you don't really know it until you suddenly look inside yourself and say, I've been, when I was a little girl, this happened to me, and I realized that when I did my Green Kids game, is that my father was a veterinarian, and we were in the middle of a science project when he died. And I'm down doing the science project that we had to stop doing because he died. And so that was a compelling story for me, is that I wanted to keep going on it. And you had that same thing that the little boy, his mother told him, oh, there's a game across the wall, you kept looking for the game. So I think you really have to find the subconscious compelling reason. And in the theater there's an expression that a character has to have a compelling objective. A relentless, the expression in the theater, because I come from the theater originally, is that when you do work with an actor, they have to have a relentless pursuit of an objective. That is what the discussion is. So you are the character, and you have to relentlessly pursue this objective.
I like that.
My corollary to that though is sometimes when you're too end goal focused, sometimes because who the hell knows? Like I think it.
But it's that little boy
Yeah.
that's searching for that, or the little girl. It's really not the adult that's searching
That's true.
for
That is
that
true.
thing.
That's true.
And that is the compelling, relentless pursuit of that objective.
No, that's true.
So, did we have any other questions?
I think Lauren, you had.
Lauren, you
Oh,
were
I
gonna.
just, a lot of people that I talk to, I say, what's your passion? What do you want to do with what you're doing? They all say, I want to make money.
Ah,
That's not a way to
yeah.
sustain it.
Money will not sustain you.
No,
if
that's
you-
not going to do it because you're
Unless
not
you
gonna
really
make,
love money, if you're
Yeah.
Scrooge McDuck.
unless you're really making it,
Yeah.
like minting it.
Yeah.
And then all
That'll
the
help.
studies say that they studied all these rich people and they said, well, did the money make you happier? And it came out that it didn't. It makes it become more comfortable, life more comfortable, and
But only up to a limit. Like there's a
Right.
study. There's a great book. Gosh, I wish I could remember the name of it. But they interviewed a bunch of billionaires, right?
Right.
And basically the question was, how much money is enough? How much
Right.
money? Until any incremental money just didn't matter. It was just zeros on a computer screen, right? Anybody want to guess what that dollar figure was?
10 million.
That's exactly right. Who said it?
I did.
Yes, 'cause you're brilliant, Mr.
Michael
Big talker
Iver.
over
He's
there.
at 9. He's at 9.
And I have
so
a
he's like-
real-time app for market data. That's my passion.
So,
That was
so
good.
yeah.
That was the 5 seconds.
well, you know, I did a little PowerPoint that
You wanna show your
yeah,
PowerPoint?
that
Yeah, go
Lauren
ahead.
asked me
Pull
to
it
do
up, pull it
about
up.
the concept of passion, and I thought I'd show it to you.
I don't know, I didn't tell you, but Lynn is a professor at New York Institute of Technology, which is also one of our partners.
Right.
So she's the teacher part, we got the corporate.
Well, I don't know if I'm a
entrepreneur, the
teacher, but
She's an entrepreneur too.
oh, okay. Okay, so Lauren asked me to do a discussion about the mind of the entrepreneur and the passion. And so first thing I thought of, well, what is the definition of passion? Right? So the definition of passion in terms of an entrepreneur is a state of strong emotion, an intense desire or enthusiasm for something. And so, passion can also be sexual, but we're not talking about that tonight. And so I took out that definition.
What does that mean?
Huh? That's the X-rated version after this.
Once you have this passion, you have no time for the other.
Right, exactly. So is this passion you feel? This is a form of intense emotion that you feel. Frustration is the number one passion. Maybe, and it's what is the next passion? Anger is the other one. You're angry at the world that they don't accept your project, that you're having it's so hard to get it made. So she asked me for passion. This is the passions that you feel. So you have to ask yourself, do I have what it takes? And what does it take? Do I care deeply, or is there a compelling reason for this project for me? Do I have the money to survive? Because if you don't have enough money to survive, then you can't do the project, right? And can I work by myself? Some people need a lot of interaction, and some people are able to work by themselves, are self-motivated people. And you have to be self-motivated, because you have to work by yourself for years. And can I make commitments and decisions, all the commitments and all the decisions on my own? So that is the difference between an entrepreneur and a person that needs a job. Because a person, if you need a job, you need the money, and and if the irregular income makes you sick or stressful, then you don't really want to be in this business. So in the Jewish people ask themselves during Passover 4 questions. These 4 questions are asked because they're revisiting the story of the Exodus from Egypt, when the Jewish people left slavery and 400 years of slavery, and they moved to the desert and walked in the desert for 40 years, not knowing where they were going. But they felt a compelling reason to leave, and they believed that they were going someplace, and that they had a reason to go. So these are the 4 questions that you have to ask yourself. How is how is my product different from all other products? Do you have what it takes to do something different? And this is what we're talking about, David was talking about, that you have to have something on the market that is different than all other products. The second question is, why should I have to spend so many years in development? Or, oh my God, I forgot to have children. So this will happen to you.
Yeah, we spent 2 years from idea to product launch.
Well, that's quick.
And that's quick.
And that's quick. So
4 years.
Right. So 40 years in the desert is nothing, right? If you get to the promised land. The third question is, why should I have to eat such bitterness of rejection? Right?
The Jews are all cracking up. This is great.
Yes.
Yes? So, what is rejection? You said the cartoon, you can't reject me. And here I found, are you suffering about your book? Even in the dark, in the Stone Age, they felt rejected, right? So what is, the sense of rejection could be, you should not take it personal. This is what they always tell you. It's nothing personal. It's just your product is not for us. Good luck and go someplace else. So you need to find, you have to stop taking it personally, right? And you have to understand that a market, there is such thing as a market and a marketplace. And the more you understand what that is, the better you will be. And the fourth question, why on this product do I need to dip twice or more? So those people who have sat through Seders understand why this is really funny.
Do your investors become the wise son?
Well, that's another question. But what I did is I took the 4 questions and I turned it into this PowerPoint. And so what does that mean to dip? It means to pivot, right? What does that mean, to pivot? It means that you're doing this product and all of a sudden there's a new technology. And now you have to do it for Google Glasses. Or now you have to do it for the wristwatch. Or now there's another, any other change that comes about. And the Native Americans believe that the only constant is change. So we have to learn to accept change. Because that is the only constant in the world, is things will change. And you have to be ready and accept change, because change will happen even if you don't accept it. So those are the 4 questions.
And just on that point as well, like, pivots happen not only because the technology around you changes, but oftentimes, like, we had a pivot where we thought that our product was supposed to be this,
Right.
and we took it to market, and the people who were supposed to buy it said, we don't need that. What are you talking about? This isn't a problem for us. We
Right.
need this thing over here. And you're
Right.
like, oh, no problem. Here it is. And now you can buy it, right? So you have to be constantly
Right.
thinking about what you're
What-
doing as a business.
And that's
Right.
wonderful. When that happens, the beauty of an early stage business is that you can be nimble,
Yep.
and you don't need to go through lots of approval processes to change something. And if you're getting a message like that from the market, listen to it,
Yeah.
because it's
Right.
going to shape your success.
It's hard sometimes to not, like, to accept that.
Right.
And be like, no, what we made is perfect.
Here I am, I've been spending years making
Right.
X,
Yeah.
and now you want me to make Y.
Like,
But
what's
listen,
wrong with you?
But at least I want you to make it.
You listen to that.
And that is the most important thing, is that somebody's interested in what you have to say.
Lynn, we have a
And
fifth
if they're
Okay, can we take a
We have a
question?
5th question.
Yeah, so my question,
He's the wicked child.
Well, those people who don't know about what we're talking about, in the Seder, the questions are, framed around 3 different children have to ask the question, or I can't even remember what it is. So that's what they're referring to. He said there's the smart child and
The wise,
Simple.
Yeah,
simple.
The wise, the
children,
wicked, the
right.
simple,
Have
and the
to
one
answer
who
the
doesn't know
question.
how to ask.
So that's what they're talking about. Not everybody knows what a Seder is.
Oh.
Okay, what is your question?
So the question is, we're talking about passion, right? So you start a company because you have a passion for solving a problem. And you go and build a product which you think is going to solve the problem. And then you go to the market, and the market is saying that this is not what we want. We want, like you said,
Mhm.
you started with this, you're passionate about building this, and then you suddenly realize that the market wants Y. In that transition, how do you keep your passion? Because you were passionate about building something else, and someone else wants you to build something else. So how do you keep that passion going?
Well, in our case, the underlying passion that we had was more generic than the specific features of the product, right? The reason that I'm an entrepreneur is because I want to live in a better world, right? My passion is to change the world for the better so that my future children will grow up in a place where they can pay their rent online instead of having to write a check and do arts and crafts to do it, right? It's a small thing, but it's something, right? So I don't care how necessarily I have to execute in order to achieve that transition, in order to revolutionize an industry. It's the fact that what I'm attempting to do will ultimately lead to that end goal that's important. And if I need to do it by implementing a payment portal, and the market says, no, that's not what we want online communication tools, and we say, okay, well, we'll incorporate the payment portal into a suite of online communication tools, and that's how we'll make it work. That's okay. It's because it's the same underlying passion that's happening, right? Now, I suppose if the market completely rejects your idea in every possible way, and they say that what you're doing is completely and absolutely totally wrong, you might need to
Put it in the archives.
yes, and
Right?
try again.
And that is something you must, sometimes you're at the wrong place, at the wrong time, with the wrong product. You could be ahead of your time, or you could be behind your times, or I've had projects that have been in the archives, and I have a file cabinet full of projects that are in the archives. Okay, not every project is the right project at the right time for the right technology. And I've switched from various mediums. I went from theater to film to television to new media, and I taught myself all those mediums, because the medium is really more important than sometimes you need to develop it for that technology. And sometimes each technology has a different needs. And so it's more about the needs of the market and the technology than it is about your project. And that is really where you have to start having some distance from your project. And you have to see it for what it is, not for what you want it to be and whatever you want everybody else to see what it is. Yes?
Actually, at one of Grant's ultralight startups, I met someone who's a serial entrepreneur. He has a lot of those type of people going to his organization groups. And this one not only had already done 10 different startups, but also kept a list in his pocket of all these ideas he was going to start working on. And he had about 100 on this piece of paper. And every time he thought of one, he stuck it on there. I don't know if that's passion or what that is.
No, but that's go ahead.
Yeah, you've got something very interesting up there called Somebody Else Did It. I'm with a company, I'm a chief technology officer with a company. We're doing it for free, but 2 of our competitors have done it, and they're charging, and they're getting a lot of PR. So my question to you is it okay to use a competitor's PR and a competitor's revenue model if I'm offering something for free? And if I'm offering it for free, does that cheapen me?
No, I don't think so. This freemium model is definitely the latest model that has been shown to, depending on where you're going to get your money, eventually you have to have a place to make money. because nobody's going to.
It's
be-
free television over the internet, free live TV
Well,
over the internet.
Yeah, well, that is what
TV home set.
Barry Diller is doing that.
Yeah.
Who's charging for it?
Right, and Barry
The
Diller
area.
has very deep pockets to do that. And those of you who don't know, Barry, I'm sure you all know who Barry Diller is. But, flattery, that expression, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So if if you feel like you're imitating them, they could either be flattered or they could be suing you. So you have to be careful. You have to know what they have trademarked and what they have patented. And Barry Diller spent a lot of money in court these days fighting that issue. He's still fighting it, and they're fighting it in every state. He's got to fight it because the cable company and broadcasts are not going to just let go
But
of
it's
their
also important-
revenue stream.
it's also
So,
important to realize that Me Too products.
pardon me?
Me Too products have to compete on price.
Right.
I mean, that's all you've
So
got.
you have to be sure that, you have a free title to what you're doing, that you have to talk to a lawyer about that,
And
because
get
that's
the
a
right
real
Get
problem.
the right PR agency.
Is that,
Because if they're building the market for you and you're coming in at free, that's not a bad
Right.
thing. People need to hear of you.
Yeah, you wanna make sure the market's big enough.
Yeah, I'm a
Right.
big TV pirate, and I haven't heard of you, and I should, right?
Yeah. I want to come back to the question that you asked about, how do you keep that passion if people are telling you that what you were passionate about in the first place is not the right thing? So, almost all of my companies that I've worked with that have succeeded have pivoted the same way you were saying. And it's disappointing at first. I think that all of them have felt somewhat disappointed when they've gotten that kind of feedback from the market. Ultimately, it becomes a learning experience. And the way I have this going on now with one of my clients, that the company's been in business a really long time in a space that all of a sudden is starting to get hot, but not for what he built it for. But the thing is, he's starting to get all this proof of concept from the marketplace, and investors are knocking at his door. So however, troubled he might have felt that his initial idea was not what everybody was looking for, he's getting over it. And so I think it's so much of building a business is a learning experience. And you need to be entertained by that learning experience. I don't know how else to say it, but it is entertaining. So I love what I do because I'm constantly learning from the entrepreneurs I work with. And I think, you learn as well. And sometimes people will give you advice, investors will give you advice, that just doesn't resonate with you. Keep it in the back of your mind. Don't do exactly what they're telling you and move on and see what happens. And sometimes it's just the path, you go down the right path and it seems to work.
I mean, if you can find a partner or an alliance, that is very valuable. Whether it's a financial alliance or it's they're just giving you room or they're giving you advice.
If they're a good partner.
What?
If they're a good partner.
If they're not going to steal it from you. But I think that is one of the most difficult parts of this being an entrepreneur is finding a partner and finding alliances. Because, like I said in the previous slide, if you have nobody caring about what you're doing, that is the worst place to be. If you have people caring, then you are forming a relationship. And those are the most important aspects, is that you need to form relationships, because business is about relationships. And if somebody cares, somebody has something vested in you and your business, that is the most important aspect of being an entrepreneur. And the hardest part is to get people to care. That is really the hardest part, is that people are very busy and self-involved, and I'm the most important person in each person's life, and you have to remember that. There's an old saying, Jacqueline Kennedy used to say, well, Jacqueline Kennedy why did everybody love Jacqueline Kennedy? Because when you spoke to Jacqueline Kennedy, you were the center of attention. She made you feel like you were the center of attention. And so she understood this concept that for you are the most important person in your life. So if you have other people paying attention to you and your product, that is really a big step. And how can this project be important to them? They have to feel that there's value in it for them as well.
And can I just jump in? The flip side of this is if you lose passion because investors don't like your thing, then fuck it. It's probably not that good of an idea if you can't stay passionate about it. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like so much of entrepreneur and startup culture is about, here's the roadmap, we're all supportive of each other and stuff. There is such a thing as bad ideas, right?
Right.
Like, and that's life. We're not actually all cut out to succeed with the things that we think are cool. And so I think Lauren's advice, which is keep 100 ideas, always keep a ton of ideas, because if one doesn't work, who cares? Your validation as a human being. If your validation as a human being is so tied into one idea, then who cares what anyone says? You'll just keep doing it, you know, and you'll fall to the ends of it. Then you can't do that, then it's not worth pursuing.
Yes,
I think an conundrum here is you're passionate, you want to put time, money, energy into an idea, but not too much, because if you have to pivot, you might have just sunk so much money into this idea and have nowhere to go. When you pivoted on your idea, what stage were you at when you were with the Millennium Falcon game? Did you develop one level and then pitch it to LucasArts? And then in terms of pitching to you and saying, give me money or give me support, can you pitch just an idea, or do you always have to have some type of a site, an app, a partner, something like that to make it real?
Right, so we'll go down the line.
Yeah.
So when did we pivot? It was pretty early, right? It was early enough that we hadn't sunk a tremendous amount of money. Also, pivots they're called a pivot because you're sort of here and you're going here. Mm-hmm. It's not you're here and you're going over here, right? The idea is that you're constantly evolving the idea so that there's no point in time where you're making such a massive overhaul that you're essentially throwing it away and starting over. I mean, you can do that, but pivots aren't generally about that. And you want to be doing that as quickly and as often as possible, right? So the getting back to the idea of networking and communicating, coming to events like this, getting feedback, talking to people, getting outside your own head as quickly and early as you can, the better, because that way you'll avoid going too far down a single road that you'll have to make a massive change on, and you'll have to spend a ton of money on. Yes.
So I'm interested in the notion of pivot in a different dimension.
Let's finish his, you want to finish
Yeah,
his?
we're going to go down the line.
I thought you were talking about pivoting, okay.
But we'll come back.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and you had a
that
different
thought.
question.
Yeah, in terms of the Millennium Falcon game, did
So
you
how
develop
deep
one
did you get
level
before
and
you
then
were-
pitch
Yeah, I
that,
mean,
or-
for that, I produced basically a 60-page design document that spelled out every detail, and that I did. No one paid me to do it. I was just nuts, and then spent maybe 2.5 weeks, put together a demo, polished it, got to a place, made up a reason that I was going to be in town, and set up a meeting with those guys, and just kind of went in nuts. It was like I didn't really have enough time to think that it would fail or that it would even work.
Yeah.
So
You
that's
didn't
cool.
code like 6 levels or anything,
No, well, but one
Yeah.
pretty detailed level, and in
Yeah.
fact, like I spent nights ripping the original Star Wars film and cutting the sound effects myself out of it so we could use real sound effects because I didn't know where I was going to get them. What I would say though is what I've done every time since, and I've done projects with Band-Aid and the Muppets where we actually made each of their Muppets bandages, AR markers that a mom and a kid can come together, scan it, and Kermit the Frog jumps out to sing a song to the kid when he's feeling bad. Everything, but every project we've done, and including Laser Tag, we built a complete hardware prototype, took it into Hasbro. That also protected us, right? Because we were the inventors on the thing. But I highly recommend where you can put something real, because there's magic, and people be like, "How the hell did you do that?" And it's not magic. It's Ukrainians.
So one more thing I might say about this idea of pivoting and ideas is that there is a difference between an idea and how do you get from an idea to a product? And how many iterations do you need to make of a product? And I think that many people think, oh, I have a great idea, and that's enough. And when does an idea become a prototype? And when does a prototype become a proof of concept? And how long is this, and how many iterations do you need to make? Well, you need to make a lot of iterations of your product. And that's what we're talking about pivoting. is that you cannot expect that you are just going to come up with an idea and develop a homepage or or even just a design document. You need to do the work that is going to entail to develop these iterations. We did a project, I'm doing a project, we did it in 2D, and now we're doing it in 3D. And we decided that this project really needed to be in 3D. And so that has been taking a lot of work. Believe me, it takes a lot of, first we did a project about California condors, and now we're doing Find the California Condor, and now we're doing a project Find the Panda in Southwest China. So each time the team wants to do a new team wants to do a new iteration, we have to bring a new team, 3D team. So the point is that don't expect to come up with an idea that's enough. It has to actually be a proof of concept, it has to go through teams, and and each person in the team has to feel that this is something that's going to be a proof of have you proved your concept? You have to prove your concept.
I want to let's just come back, because we know these two gentlemen had questions. Are you done with your question, or do you have?
I mean, just from pitching you for funding or whatever, what do you expect to see, I guess, was the question.
So I have companies who come to me at idea stage, and I'll sit down and I've come up with concepts along with the entrepreneur to help build the business. Before I send an entrepreneur to one of my investor contacts, I like to see a prototype. Something, you're better off if you have that, if you can demo something, because once again, come back to the idea that they have the attention span of fleas. They are highly visual people. If they can see and look and feel something, even if it's not operating perfectly, I'm ignoring my phone. Even if it's not operating perfectly, it's still a good, you need to have something that they can see and touch and feel, and it preserves your value. Get it bootstrapped as far as you can, and then you go out and you start looking for money.
So I have a finished product that I released 3 weeks ago. But my question on pivoting is not so much on product and product features, but on go-to-market strategies. So I had originally thought that mine would be a B2C, offering independent market data.
Yep.
But after 3 weeks, I'm realizing that maybe my product is a little bit more professional than what's often found in the app universe.
All right.
So I'm thinking maybe I need to pivot in terms of private label, which is a whole different type of.
I love private label.
So
I love the
now,
model.
the idea of pivoting from a B2C, where I was thinking about advertising and social media, and now I'm thinking about I got to go to like people that live in flyover country, because that's really where the opportunity is, not New York City. So tell me about pivoting in a go-to-market strategy as opposed to changing your feature set.
I think it's, so remember, you're not going to have one simple way to reach your market. Ultimately, your business is going to have multiple revenue streams. You're going to be right in the middle of it. So if your first go-to-market strategy is, let's say you're pivoting on that because it looks like the market is telling you it's going to be easiest to do it as a white label product. You can always come back and build out, the app version of it, or however you're going to do it.
I'm already out.
So
in the app version, it's just that it's really, I'll tell everyone this. My experience is that it's really expensive to reach consumers in the app universe, okay? And I would say that social media, you'd be amazed. Like you get someone to retweet, they have 17,000 followers, and you get 10 followers out of that, maybe 2 click to your product, and none become a customer. Okay.
So this is where I come into software product. I just want to ask everybody here, how many people are involved in the software or trying to market or sell software in this room? I see a lot of hands. I'm just curious. So your problem is not unique. A lot of people who are developing software don't really have a marketing budget. That's where my third-party app store comes in to help you. Lower cost than the app store you're trying to sell through. definitely Apple's not gonna sell Google products. You know, we're third party, so we're open to all these people who have the same problem.
And I'm probably not, here's the thing, I'm probably not a B2C guy.
I know, we're a business to business marketplace.
I think so this is one of the reasons to come to an event like this.
But I want to hear
right?
what you guys.
We'll get to you. The most important thing that you can do in business, in my experience, is get out there, network, meet people, make friends, find out about things you didn't even know existed. You know, like a guy who has a business doing whatever it is you do that happens to be appropriate for whatever it is he needs, right? So the lesson I think that's really valuable here is being here is you're already ahead of the game, right? Just by finding events like this, finding people who are in this space. You know, you got to go to Graham's events, go to Ultralight Startups. I'm sure you look familiar. You've probably been there. But if not, go bug Graham, or don't bug Graham. He'll get mad at me. But you know, these types of events are the future of how business happens certainly in this space, right? I mean, maybe in the old days it was different. I don't know. I was never one of the old boys, you know, starting companies like with smoking rooms and railroads and things like that. I assume there were a different way of things happening in that world. But here, it's quick. But it's all about networking. It's all about getting together. And
So I have a question about convertible debt. I don't quite understand if it's debt.
Yeah.
Then what happens if the event that's supposed to give everything value doesn't take place? And what are the kinds of options that you have? So in other words, the company has some assets of value. At what point, how do you protect those in a convertible debt?
So the debt itself is non-recourse. It's not collateralized, it's non-recourse. So they don't have the ability to go after your assets.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't have assets in the very beginning.
You have intellectual property.
So you have IP, that's right. And just so you know, IP is usually not collateral for even a note that is collateralized. You try to keep IP out of it. But convertible debt, the idea is it's a bridge loan. And it bridges you to get to the funding round. It's like free money, because you use it to leverage the company to bring yourself up to the next inflection point where you can actually add some dollars to your pre-money value. So what we do typically is anywhere from a 2 to 3 year term, which would give you enough time to get funding or else have the company go under. Sometimes the company does so well. I have an instance right now where the company is doing so well that they probably will not raise a venture round, or if they do, it's not going to be a round significant enough to trigger conversion of the note. They'll pay back that money, and it's a cheap way for them to do it. The convertible note investors don't want to get their money back. They prefer to get their money back rather than losing it entirely, but they're investing because they want equity in the company.
They won't convert if the company's doing so well. I don't understand.
So the provisions of the note provide that it's an automatic conversion on the next funding round.
To the cap.
Well, sometimes you have a cap, sometimes you have a discount, sometimes you have both.
Sure. You buy the
Standard
discount,
discount,
you
by
get
the
some
way,
cap.
standard discount 10% with a cap. If there's no cap, standard discount is usually somewhere in the 15 to 20% range. So that's pretty standard. Standard interest rate 4%, 5%, somewhere around there. So what the notes usually say is if it's payable on the maturity date. Sometimes I'll have a client who wants to actually convert the note on the maturity date, even if there's no funding. So how do you do that? It requires you to determine a valuation. Because if you haven't had that third-party valuation with the funding event, you're going to need a valuation to convert. You can have a third-party appraiser do it. Plenty of people who do that. Or you can set it at the date that you're actually doing the note. In which case, you're losing out on the benefit of the note because the note is, you do the note so that you don't have to determine a valuation of the company.
Sure. There's tax consequences associated with that as well.
One last question.
So,
Since the theme of tonight's event is disruptive technologies, I mean, some of the underlying things you guys have been talking about have been, mobile, social, big data, and so on. Okay, when we have this event a year from now,
what are going to be some of the themes driving, the businesses that you folks are going to be talking about, or people, what people in this room are going to be talking about? Crystal ball.
One thing, I had a conversation with the lab, the man who runs the lab here, and we've been having some conversations with other labs, and another lab, Time Warner Lab, and what the labs are studying, which is interesting, is they're studying how people are using both or numerous technologies at one time, and that is what they see as the future, the immediate future, is how they're trying to study how do people use all of these technologies at the same time. And this is where I think they think the money is. That's why they're probably spending all this money. If you go into Time Warner building, there's a lab back there. You go on Time Warner Lab online, you can see this virtual lab that they have, where they're studying how people use multiple technologies at one time. So
second screen. Right. We just funded a big study. I work for Time Warner, and my boss runs the media lab.
So then I am speaking to the choir here. So why don't you tell us what the Time Warner thinks is the future?
No, I think you're very right because of everything that we have our hands in, and of course businesses that we want to get involved in. But of course we're doing studies on behalf of other companies as well. But if we're devoting our time and resources into looking into second screen, I would say that your analysis is spot on, because the generation, the up-and-comers, they're sitting there, they're watching their programs, they have their iPads, they're engaged in different ways that go way beyond just watching any TV show. So of course, if advertisers get involved, there's a lot of money to be made off of it.
I have to stop because I know a lot of people have to go.
So what this is looking at,
exactly what we need.
Right? So this is looking at the people who watch Access Hollywood. These are the other shows that they watch. So it's simply looking at how things get connected.
Can you do anything with current events or?
Sure, it's just data input.
Fabulous.
It's easy for me to say that. I'm the theater guy. And we'd have to talk to the analytics team to see what the algorithms would look like. But the idea is, we use this to talk about, people watch a show, what is the whole audience?
Could you do this in there?
No. Yeah, because that's not a touchscreen. I mean, I'm sure we could. We designed the whole experience so that this was a touchscreen environment.
Very cool. This is terrific.
Great.
What do the nodes and the links represent? Is it ratings?
No, it's just how the shows get connected. So sometimes they get connected through content. You'll see, let's see here. I'm just looking for a show that I know well. So this will be a connection of TV shows, of children's shows. So sometimes you get them connected by content. Sometimes you get them connected by network. All the Fox shows are together. The MSNBC shows might be together. But it's really just looking at people who watch this show. What are the other shows that their set-top boxes tune into?
Well, how did you develop it? What was the tool you developed?
This was created by, we have a data team in Thorn Park, the old Bell Labs team, and they created algorithms to look at those connections.
And the presentation layer is?
Cinder.
Oh, okay. S with an S?
C-I-N-D.
Cinder. Cool.
I was in a meeting the other day, and I mentioned Cinder, and somebody asked it about it a little while later, and they said, "What's that software called? Concrete that you use?"
Ah, funny.
But I'm the storyteller, so my job is to take things and turn them into a story.
Right.
So when you look at data straight, if you're not a data person, it's not necessarily a compelling experience. So the idea of the challenge here was, how do we create something and turn it into a compelling experience?
Is there anything, is this on the web or anything?
Nope.
No.
Just Liz here right now.
No, is there a story about it?
Not yet.
No.
That's a good question.
Okay. And well,